Hey everybody, welcome to episode 6 of my Throwback Thursday series, which reviews old albums that are at least 20 years old that I happen to enjoy, and I am not late this week. This is going up on a Thursday and not on a Friday like last week, so I'm going to pat myself on the back for that. There we go. Alright, this week I'm going to be doing one of my favorite albums from the 90s, and I have a lot of favorite albums from the 90s, especially the early 90s. It's from a band you might have heard on the radio. They have one song they play on the radio called Epic. This is a band called Faith No More. But I'm going to be doing their album Angel Dust, which a lot of people think is their second album because of the huge success of The Real Thing, which was their previous album, which was released in 1989, and spawned said song Epic. But this is actually their fourth album, because they had two previous albums to The Real Thing with a different singer, and so this is their fourth. This is the one released after the big huge hit album The Real Thing, and this was released on June 8th, 1992. I actually remember buying this album, walking all the way down to Panorama Plaza in Penfield, New York, to a store called Hot Licks that used to be down there, and buying the cassette of this tape. Shows you how old I am. I was a youngin' back then, but yeah, I'm a big Faith No More fan, still am, especially of this album. This album is just amazing to me. It's insane. It's really, I mean that quite literally. It's an insane album. Yeah, it's their fourth album, like I said, and it's their first album with Mike Patton, and their final album with guitarist Jim Martin. You might see him if you've ever seen the video for Epic, he's the guy with the big long hair and the big long beard playing guitar, and the reason Jim Martin left this band at this point, he wasn't happy with the direction the band was going, because this was the first album where Mike Patton, the amazing lead singer, had any real influence over the sound of the band, because basically all of The Real Thing was written already by the time he was hired. So on this album you really get a taste of what Mike Patton's all about with his lyrics and his vocals, and it's just amazing. I'm a huge Mike Patton fan. One of the most underrated singers of all time. The range the guy has, it's really hard to match that. Alright, and it's called Angel Dust, named after, obviously, cocaine. They wanted to name it Angel Dust because it's a beautiful name for a horrible drug. And they wanted to kind of have the whole dynamic of ugly and beautiful, which is why they did the cover like they did it too. They originally the record company wanted to. There's this photo of them in Russian uniforms that they wanted. The record company wanted them to use for the album cover, and they didn't want to use that. So they did a cover, the front cover. So I gotta look at the name. The name of this type of bird is called an egret, or egret. It's a type of heron, and it's supposed to be this beautiful airbrush picture of a heron, or egret, on the front. And then on the back, it's the picture of like a dead cow on a meat hook. And it's more of the, the disturbing and beautiful dynamic thing, which is what they like to use to describe the music on this album, which I can't really argue with, because it's really both of those. Yeah, Mike Patton wrote basically all the lyrics in this album, except for one song. And lots of different influences for this. There's a couple songs he wrote after a sleep deprivation experiment, and he used lyrics from fortune cookies and late night television and all sorts of weird shit. And it really comes out in the weirdness of this album. And the critics love this album. It was very different from their shiny, radio-friendly, not their first album, but the first album they were aware of, The Real Thing. And I'm just going to read a couple quotes some critics had of this album. One of the more complex and confounding albums ever released by a major label. And that is true. If you'd be hard pressed to find an album released by a major label these days that is as, I don't know what the word for it is, non-commercial, just crazy. And the early 90s was a big time for creativity. Lots of creative shit was going on. These alternative bands were getting signed everywhere, and they were given creative freedom, and they did what they wanted, and some amazing shit came out of it. And this is one of the things that come out of it. Another quote I read is, the most uncommercial follow-up to a hit record ever. Can't really argue with that. Some people would say Pinkerton is close to that too, by Weezer. But I don't know, this is a little more non-commercial than that. I do love Pinkerton. That is my favorite Weezer album. But alright. So now we've done with my love fest for this album. I listen to it regularly. And I want to talk about it, so I'm going to talk about it. Alright, let's get to the songs. Number 1, Land of Sunshine. This is one of the ones he wrote after the sleep deprivation experiment. This one and the next song, Caffeine. This song is about, it has lyrics about Scientology personality tests, and he lifts lyrics straight from late night TV commercials and straight from fortune cookies. Like, life to you is a dashing, bold adventure was from a fortune cookie, and stuff like here's how to order and all that. That's from late night TV, obviously. Commercials. Great bass line in the song. I love this song. It's just so bizarre. Bizarre way to open up an album. And I can't complain. I love it. Alright. Second one called Caffeine. It's a lot heavier than pretty much everything released by Faith No More up to this point. More strange lyrics. This is the second one he wrote after the sleep deprivation experiment he underwent. And I don't know what to make of the lyrics. It seems to be something about an aftermath of a murder. Something like that. It's a real heavy song, and it's great. Okay, number 3, Midlife Crisis. You might have heard this song if you play GTA, which many of you I'm sure do. I forgot which one it's on, but it's a great song. I remember seeing the video. I remember when they first released the song, and the video came out, and they played this on MTV when they played videos, and there's this part in the video where this guy, all 4 limbs are tied to a horse, and the horses are moving, like stretching him out. Some sort of torture they used to do. And MTV said, no, we're not going to show that anymore. So it's hard to watch the actual video now with that part in it. But I remember seeing it on MTV when it first came out. And it was pretty disturbing. But I love the song so much. Patton's growly, I death metal style voice during the verses, and the great chorus, "You're perfect, yes it's true, but without me you're only you." He says it's about creating false emotion, being emotional, dwelling on emotions, and in a sense inventing emotions, whatever that means. And then he goes on to say it's basically about Madonna. Apparently he felt he was being bombarded with images of Madonna everywhere, and he's right that Madonna was everywhere at the time, and I don't know what it really has to do with Madonna, but I don't know, whatever he says. The drum track actually has a sample from the song Cecilia by Simon and Garfunkel. And the bridge contains a sample of the song Car Thief by the Beastie Boys. Two songs I like a lot. Sampled in one song I like a lot. So, that's pretty cool. It was the first single off the album. I remember hearing it on the radio sometimes, but not often. Okay, number 4, RV. RV is a strange song. It's a lot slower. It's mostly piano, some drums, and seems to be a slow man mumbling to himself about various things, like being bored, how his feet itch, where his kids are, and just weird shit. It's an amusing song. The end of the song I like the most. He says something about, talking about his kids. I'll just tell him what my dad told me. You ain't never gonna amount to nothing. It's just great. Great humor. Good song. If you like the weird stuff like I do. This album definitely takes you from one extreme to another. Sometimes right after each other. After those first 3 songs, you get to this song, you're like, what the hell is going on? It's strange, but trust me. Give it a listen, and if you don't like it the first time, listen to it again. It grows on you. Alright, 5 is Smaller and Smaller, another heavy song. And I read it's supposed to be about dementia, which I can kind of see. It's got some great drums in it, some great bass. Forgot his name. Mike Vorden's a drummer. He's a great drummer. He actually played with Black Sabbath when they reunited, and Bill Ward didn't want to do it. And their bass player, Billy Gold, is that his name? Or is that Roddy Bottom? I get those two confused, the organ and bass player. But the bass player is really fucking good, and it's a shame he never really got the recognition he deserves, because he's a damn good bass player. And there's part of the song that samples some Aboriginal chants in it. From the Aborigines, we know what those are. Those are Native Americans in Australia, basically. The Native Americans here are what the Aborigines are to Australia. So it's another real heavy, weird song that is really good. Number 6, Everything's Ruined, was the final single from this album. It's got some great piano in it and great bass, going with Roddy Bottom and the other guy again. The solo in this, the guitar solo, might be my favorite guitar solo they've ever done. Something about the sound on that solo, I love it so much. When you first listen to the song, you figure, oh, this is about a relationship that went bad, and now everything's ruined. But if you really look at the lyrics, you see it's not about that. It seems to be about, from the parent's perspective, talking from the parent's perspective of a boy, their boy, who grows up, becomes successful, and then that success ruins him. I don't know. Kind of reminds me of the whole thing with Kurt Cobain. Obviously, this was before Kurt Cobain died, so I don't know if this is based on like something that really happened to somebody they know, or I don't know. But it's a really good song. The video is really funny. I guess they really used all the money they had for videos on the video for Midlife Crisis and the video for another song that's later on in the album called A Small Victory. So what they did for this video was basically members of the band and various other people actually had nothing to do with the band, lip syncing in front of a blue screen, which just had images of like baseball and wildlife and nature and shit. It's really cheesy and really weird, but it's funny. You should check it out. Alright. Malpractice is number 7. I really like Patton's vocals in this. He screams his ass off in this song. He keeps screaming the word applause. And I don't know. Good keyboard in this song. It's really heavy again. And I don't know what it's about. I've looked at the lyrics. I can't even fathom to guess what it's about. Could be about malpractice for all I know. But it's another song that's really jolting after you get the Everything's Ruined, the really kind of nice song. And, you know, you could hear the song, you could imagine hearing the song on the radio, and then you go into Malpractice, you're like, Jesus Christ. It's just, like I said, one extreme to the next. Another really heavy song. And there's a few of them on here. Really good. Alright, Kindergarten, number 8. I looked at the lyrics. It seems to be about, to me, about a guy who's grown up and he goes back to his school and, you know, he's talking about how he doesn't fit in the swings anymore. The drinking fountains are too short now. It just seems to be about growing up, growing old, or whatever. And then there's one part, this inaudible stuff he's doing in the background, except for one part, he's doing some auctioneer stuff. It says, like, going once, twice, sold. I don't know. I don't know what the song is about. It's probably my least favorite song on the album. I like it. But if I had to skip one on this album, this would probably be it. Kindergarten. Not a bad song, but compared to the others, it's not as good, I don't think. 9. Be Aggressive. It's actually the only song Mike Patton had nothing to do with. It was written by Roddy Bottum. I think Roddy Bottum is the keyboard player, I think. I could be wrong. Keyboard player, bass player. But it's overtly, its lyrics are overtly sexual and homoerotic. One of them ended up being gay. I really I don't want to call anybody gay who isn't. So I'm going to look it up right now. Not that there's anything wrong with being gay, because there's not. But, you know, it's kind of messed up saying someone's a certain way sexually and they're not. So, Roddy Bottum. I'm always looking up things on my videos that I should have written down before. Roddy Bottum is the keyboard player for Faith No More. And he is the one that came out as gay eventually. So some of these lyrics kind of make sense. I mean, not necessarily, but there's some homoerotic stuff in the lyrics. He screams "I swallow" a lot in the song. Not that there's anything with being gay. I'm just saying, if you looked at some of the other lyrics, you'd know what I was talking about. Be Aggressive is the chorus, like the cheerleader thing, the BEAGGRESSIVE. That's the chorus. It's pretty cool though. It says overtly sexual shit, like talking about ejaculation and you're the master and I take it on my knees. Yeah. It's out there. It's another song I happen to really like too. So yeah, it's another weird aberration on this album. Be Aggressive. It's a good song. And then it takes, like I've said before, it takes another turn with A Small Victory, number 10. Probably the most radio-friendly song on this album. Mike Patton is talking about how his dad, the song is about how his dad was a coach. And he was obsessed with winning, which made him obsessed about winning. And then later in life, he has to learn you don't win everything. And the part about, like, if I speak at one constant volume, at one constant pitch, at one constant rhythm right into your ear, you still won't hear, is him trying to communicate with his dad, who is, I guess, a jock. You don't necessarily have to be a jock to be a coach, but I'm guessing by the song that's what he's talking about. So yeah, it's kind of sad now when you think about it. I really like the song though. The video, it has a lot of World War I imagery, and it was actually nominated for Best Art Direction that year at the MTV Video Music Awards. And this is back when the MTV Video Music Awards actually meant something. Now it means shit now, but then it actually meant something. For them to be nominated was pretty cool, but they lost to Madonna. Madonna again coming up with in my Angel Dust review. Great song though, really great song. Crack Hitler, number 11. They've said it's about a drug baron who takes crack and compares himself to Hitler because he commands dependent people. Really strange song. The vocals in this really remind me of one of Mike Patton's side bands. He has a lot of bands besides Faith No More, like Mr. Bungle and stuff like that. There's others. But it really reminds me of his band Tomahawk. If you haven't listened to Tomahawk and you like Mike Patton, listen to Tomahawk. It's really good. And this song's really good too. It's a bit on the weird side. Really good. Alright, 12. Jizzlobber. Mike Patton has gone to say that it's a song about his fear of going to jail and the fact that he's been to jail before and he's pretty sure at some point he's going to go back for a long time. Now he hasn't. It's been 24 years since this album came out. But yeah, and then another member of the band was quoted as saying that the song is about jizz, which means semen, and lobbing it, which means throwing it. So he's probably just being an ass, but could be about either one. But I really, really like the song. It's a longer song. I've actually seen live performances of this on YouTube. It just seems amazing. I wish I had seen them live back then. Really, really good song. It's kind of a chaotic song. I love it a lot. Alright. Now, number 12. Well, that was number 12. Number 13 is Midnight Cowboy, which is an instrumental. It's pretty good. Gets a little boring in parts, as instrumentals can do. It's strange, like you would guess it would be. It's one you don't really have to listen to, but I'd say listen to it once at least, when you listen to the album for the first time at least. Okay, and 14, I keep getting the numbers screwed up, is Easy, a cover of the Commodores song written by Lionel Richie. And this song wasn't on the original album. It's not on the CD I have. When the album originally came out, this song was not on the album. Every other version of the album released after 1992, this song was included. To cover the song, and if you've heard the Commodores version, you've heard this version. Just imagine that version with Mike Patton singing it, because they changed nothing. It's the same song, basically. It's good. I could listen to Mike Patton sing anything, but it's really not different in any way, really. But, yeah, so that is Angel Dust. Like I said, I love this album. If you like to hear a really off-putting, aggressive album by a band that was just becoming a really popular in mainstream music, and then basically showing them their middle finger and being, this is like what we're going to do. Listen to this album. It's off-putting, like I said. It's disturbing, and it's beautiful. The lyrics are crazy, the vocals are crazy, but something about this album just resonates with me, and I love it so much. Probably in my top 10 90s albums. And I could probably do a top 50 90s albums, so it's pretty good. Alright, guys. That's my episode for this week. I'm glad I could get it up on Wednesday. I mean, Thursday. Throwback Thursday. So, I was thinking about what album I should do next week. Like, should I do another 90s album? There's this 90s album I really want to do. Or should I go back and do a 60s album? I still got a ton of those I got to do. But I think I'm going to do one more 90s album. This will be my third 90s album in a row. So it's going to be an album I really love and have a lot of history with is going to be White Zombie and Electric Head, Songs from the Electric Head, and Astro Creep 2000 Songs from the Electric Head. That's what it's called. I love this album. I still love this album. I've been listening to. I have a whole story about this album. I'll get into it on the next episode next week. But then I'm gonna start doing some older, like not 90s stuff. I know this is like my fourth all around. It'll be my fourth all around 90s review. So I'll see you next week with White Zombie. So if you want to listen to that album before I release the video, do it, and maybe we can compare notes. But yeah, so that's it for now. I'll see you soon. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. Do whatever you want. Have a good day.